Is this thing on? Of course it is. All right, what's up? Um, how's your holidays? Can't you believe it's? Can you believe it's December? Time's flying. People always say that. Time ain't flying. Time's going the same speed it always has. It's- People don't take the time to take a brisk walk. But I don't know. I'm not in a good mood. Well, I mean, I'm in a good mood, but I'm not. A bunch of bullshit is happening. So allow me now, whether I post this or not. Sometimes by the time I get to the end of my walk, I feel better. I vented to nature. I'm like, I don't need to post it. I never need to post it, but I end up not posting it because I don't like my business out there like that. I'm old school. I mean, it's weird. You see those, I mean, depending how old you are, but like rappers that you grew up listening to on their little podcasts, and you're just telling their business. It's just good entertainment, because we listened to the songs, but we didn't know the background or the inspiration for it. And then you're like, oh, it makes sense now. But they seem to be in their feelings too, which they're human. Like, I still remember listening to Method Man. I don't even know his real name. Like, I'm not all about, I think his name's Cliff. I don't know. But he was just like, yeah, I have depression. And, when you think of Method Man or any rapper who, not the emo rappers, because they let you know from the jump that they got issues. But, rappers back in the day were just on their I'm too cool for school shit. But yeah. So right now there's no heat in my house. The furnace died, which it is what it is. But it makes it like normally I'm dressed up like I'm outside anyway, because growing up my dad would always be like keeping the house cool to conserve oil, because we still got oil. So it'd be cold, and we had like a gas stove thingy. And then when I came back from Japan, moved back here, you'd have the little space heaters, which don't do much for any other area than the space that they're heating. So it is what it is, nothing new. But it'd just be annoying because like, I do a lot of computer stuff. I'll be tippity tap tap tippity typing. Again, nothing new, because back in the day, my studio used to be up in the attic, and there was no heat up there. I remember one time I put Vaseline on my hands and put gloves over it. Now, I don't know. I was just trying anything so my fingers wouldn't be cold. I think it did work. Maybe it did do insulation. I don't know. So anyway, so the house is cold. The other day I was trying to write a report, and I couldn't write it because my fingers are all like, I feel that it's cold and I can't concentrate. So I'm doing that shit at school. Problem solved. But my dad be worried that, we're gonna get an ice age, and then all the pipes are gonna bust, and then we're gonna get evicted from our house because we have no water. I guess that would be what would happen. But it hasn't happened, and to worry about what hasn't happened is to die 1,000 deaths or something like that. You know the expression. But just another day in the house. So the other thing that's on my mind, I had to make some phone calls on behalf of my dad about stuff. Some random letter came in saying some random stuff. My dad's like, what is it? He asked me like I know random stuff. Like, I don't know. I gotta call him. Call the number. They're like, are you Mr. Bailey? Yeah. But I know they mean, am I my dad? No, I'm his son. Just keep it, keep it a buck. Say, I'm his son. They're like, well, we cannot give you any information. I'm like, I'm calling on behalf of my dad. He's 93, and he told me to call. He's like, well, we can't tell you. It's only for him. I said, I'm his caretaker. And this guy, he does not budge. He does not. So I said, listen, if I get my dad on the phone, he's not going to understand, He's 93, his hearing is not so well, and the questions you're asking, he's not going to know. The guy's like, I got to talk to him. So I'm like, are you not listening to what I'm saying? And the guy's like, well, I gotta. So I'm like, all right. I go downstairs, say, Dad, this guy wants to talk to you. And he starts asking my dad questions. He's like, but my dad's like, excuse me? Like, he keeps asking the question. My dad's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And the guy's like, well, I can't. Like, the guy's getting frustrated. My dad's getting frustrated. I'm already frustrated because I told the guy, I broke it down for him, like, you know what I'm saying? So I take the phone. I'm like, all right, I'll talk to him, Dad. I go upstairs. I'm like, was that productive for you, sir? And he's like, wow, he has to. And I'm like, yeah, I know he has to, but he's not going to. That's what I'm here for. He's like, ah. Now, in my evolved age, I'm not going to argue with random people for the sake of that. That's the old me. I got shit to do. So I'm like, thank you for not helping me. Goodbye. That's pretty polite, right? Hang up, call again. And as I'm being put on hold, I'm like, wait a minute. Maybe I can make an online account. Because I was looking at the letter. So I put in my dad's social and da-da-da-da. I make an account and I verify what it is. So then she gets on the phone and she's like, another lady. I explain and she's like, well, we still got to verify. And I'm like, okay. So we go downstairs and she's asking my dad questions. And the questions that she's asking them to verify they're my questions. It's like, so what's your favorite color? Because that's one of the questions. And I put rainbow. But again, it's not my dad's question. So he's like, huh? And I'm like, just say rainbow. And he's like, rainbow. She's like, okay. And then after 2 more dumbass questions, she's like, you're verified. You can talk. You can pass it to your son. And I'm like, so I'm talking to her and I'm like, so what are you? She's like, da-da-da-da. I'm like, no. What are you? She's like, da-da-da. I'm like, you're not answering my question. And long story long, she wasn't able to help me. So I throw it out there. I'm like, I made an account on behalf of my dad. She's like, oh, you did? I'm going to delete it. I'm going to deactivate it. I'm like, whatever. So I'm stressed, right? Because this whole ordeal didn't have to be all like long and stupid. And I get off the phone and I'm just sitting there processing because that's what I do. I don't want to, it stinks. I don't want to, do anything in a state of whatever. So I just kind of process. And then my dad's like, why the long face? And I'm just like, cause I was on the phone. And he's like, you don't have to be upset. The hell I don't say all that. But I am upset because this was, and I'm explaining like these calls, they're going to keep coming and they're going to block me every time because I am not, we didn't do the paperwork. So every time you're like, what is this letter? And I call but my dad's not getting that. He's just like, I just asked a question. And he's getting all like upset. And I'm not decompressed yet. So, but that was like a couple, last week. So the next day, another letter comes. So again, my dad's like, can you look at the letter? He's like, don't get mad. And I'm like, I don't get mad if you just don't. I don't say this, so I'm just like, don't tell me not to be mad, and I won't get mad. You know that kind of thing? It's okay if it's not okay. Don't tell me. That's just. So I call up the number, and I mean, I've been talking to this company on behalf of my dad for like the past 3 years, and same bullshit, whatever. I'm talking to the guy, and again, the same. You are not authorized. But in this case, we actually did all the paperwork, so I am. So he's like telling me, but you're not. And I'm like, but I am. He's like, but you're not. And we're going back and forth. And I'm like, all right, thank you for nothing. Hang up, call again. The next person's like, how may I help you? You're authorized. And that just irritates the hell out of me. So I explain what I'm explaining, and then they're like, all right, well, do this. And then I did that, but it didn't work out. So I'm calling back to understand why they're telling me to do stuff that doesn't make sense. And so that was one day. And then the next day I called back, because by the time I called back, when I got home from school, I'd be late working on shit. And my dad's like, what's this? So by the time I got home, they were already closing on the West Coast. So he's like, call back tomorrow. I call back the next day. I say, hello, my name is such and such. I'm calling. He's like, you're not authorized. Like, motherfucker, you're not. I'm like, all right, whatever. Thank you. Goodbye. Call again. And this person, I say, I say to this person, listen, I'm going to tell you my information. It's going to say that I'm not authorized, but I assure you I'm authorized. And I just have a question. I need you to transfer me over to a different department. I don't know how to do that. He's like, well, sir, I cannot help you until you give me your information. I said, but it's no point, because you're going to say I'm not authorized, and I am authorized, and is this going to be a waste of time? Like, oh, sir, you're making an assumption. I said, what, you call me a liar? He's like, I'm not saying that, but we won't know until we do it. I said, so I give him the numbers. He's like, you're not authorized. So I hang up, call again. I get a guy named William. I think he's a brother. He's like, what's up, man? Well, he just sounds, I'm just like, I'm trying to get in, and I give him the number. He's like, all right, how may I help you? And it's just like, so I tell him the tale of 3 years of bullshit with this company. And I said, I want 2 things. I want to get it resolved, and I want compensation for my pain and suffering. So it's a stretch. It's a reach. But this is some bullshit. I'd be on the phone for like hours talking, you're not authorized. Like, so he's like, all right, I'll make the claim for you, but you should call back tomorrow to see if you can get someone, because we're closing. I call the next day after work. I'm on the phone talking hour and a half, or same thing, different day. Finally, I get someone in an hour and a half. We're talking. She's like, oh, I understand this has been an ordeal. I am so sorry that you had to go through this. And at this moment, it just hit me, because I said this phrase and it really went down to the core. The thing I'm talking about, my mom used to take care of it. And when she was on her deathbed, she said to me, can you take care of this? But I didn't, because she was on her deathbed. I was like running around. It was, yeah. So I at that, normally I don't be talking about this, even when I go to therapy, because it happened, it's done. But it just kind of triggered me, and I'm just all like, and I'm sitting on the phone, I'm just like, I just want to get this shit over with. You know, my mom died, and the lady's like, I'm so sorry, but, and it wasn't just faking it. It was like, it came out, because it's stressful, you know? So she's like, all right, somebody will call you tomorrow. Well, William was the day before. She's like, someone will call you in 2 days, and next day. So the next day comes, I'm sitting there, the phone rings, I see the caller ID, and I'm like, shit, I gotta take this call. I did tell the lady I'm a teacher, I'm teaching, so they call while I'm teaching. So I get up the phone, another lady, she's like, we received your conflict and it is resolved. I said, but you didn't resolve it. She's like, it's resolved. Anything else? And I'm like, but you didn't answer my question. It's like, what question do you have? I'm like, how can you have a company that does not have a consistency in their stuff? She's like, well, sir, we resolved your issue. Is there any more questions? But you didn't answer my question. Now, my kids are in front of me, my students. Now, they know me by now. One of my students, she was eating candy because another teacher gave her the candy. And they're walking past me eating this candy. And I look at her, and I'm about to be like, and I make my face like, so she looks at me, she's like, another teacher gave it to me. And I'm like, but I didn't say anything. And she says, but I know you. I know you, Mr. Bailey. And she's right. I was about to go all in on. And I'm like, oh, 'cause I saw the other kids were eating stuff, and that teacher does give them stuff. But so the kids know me. So they see I'm on the phone, and they see I got my serious face on. So they're quiet, and I'm going into another room. So I just be like, listen here. Now, I never swear. You never want to swear when you're talking to customer service. You never want to be rude because it is recorded, and that shit will bite you in the butt. So I'm just like, listen here. I said, you did not answer my question. Can you answer my question? And she's on her end. Listen, I answered my question. I'm like, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. I'm trying to be hush hush because, the kids might be all like, but I'm in a whole nother room. So then I'm like, and she's just like, is there anything else, sir? And I'm like, are you going to answer my question? Because the lady I talked, and she's just like, there's nothing more I can do for you. I'm going to close this case and it is finished. It's like, how am I going? Because I'm at work. I have to call back. She's like, what do you want to call back for? I have solved your issue. I said, but yeah. So then my kids are in the other room, and they'll explode if I don't get over there. Because that's what kids do. I teach middle school, right? So I'm like, well, I'll call back. She's like, hang up. I go into the other room, and I'm just like, feeling deflated, defeated. And I ain't wanting to be defeated or deflated. I can always, but I'm going against a big company, big company. And I'm just a little guy. So I'm sitting there, and I'm in a daze now. Kids get dismissed. I'm just sitting there like, I gotta call back, but I don't know what to do because they're not budging, and they didn't help me. And I'm feeling like small. And I'm sitting there, and a teacher comes over and she's like, hi, Mr. Bailey. I'm so sorry I didn't come to your room. And conversation with said lady, I told her, don't come to the room. Like, I'm gonna come. I'm like, no, you don't need to, because she translates for one of the kids. I'm like, we're not doing anything that requires translation. But she's coming up to tell me, I'm so sorry I didn't. But, it is what it is and whatever. But she sees I'm not me. And she's like, are you okay? Now, I don't want to tell random people about my stuff. As I'm saying, I'm on YouTube telling random people about my stuff. But so I just tell her, I just got off the phone and blah, blah, blah. And she's just like, oh. And she was telling me a relatable story, whatever. And I'm just sitting there. And then she's like, all right, well, I hope it works out. And she leaves. And then she, this random guy was all smiling like he knew. And then another coworker comes in, and she also sees that I'm not me. And she's like, are you okay? And I'm just like, da-da-da-da. And then she also relates a story. Now, I ain't asked for no relatable story, but, whatever. So then after everyone leaves, I'm like, I got to call because I need to, if it's resolved. So I call up the number again. And of course, every time is a different person. So I call it up. And the lady's like, so what's your information? And I'm defeated now. And I'm just like, 10349 Matthew. And she says, I'm sorry, you're not up. And I was just about to go crawl under a rock and die. Actually, that's not really me. But there was no point in arguing because, so I was about to just whatever. And then she's like, oh, wait, I could see you here. And then she must have been a sister because she was saying stuff like, that don't make no sense, as I'm explaining what I'm trying to achieve. And she's like, why would she do that? That's some crazy stuff right there. Why they do it? Why they got to run around like that? And then I started to puff back up like, that's what I said. It's strange. It's I'm not going crazy. And then she started, like, she was reading all the transcription of the conversation and all the letters that have been being sent for the past 3 years by me. And she's like, but you sent all the information. Why are they doing this? Why? And I'm like, I don't know. And then she's like, I'm going to talk to my supervisor. So I'm on hold for like 20 minutes. She comes back like, my supervisor said that's weird. Why they do that? They shouldn't be doing that. And I'm like, I know. And then she's like, hold on. Put me on hold for another 20 minutes. She's like, my other supervisor said the same thing. And I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, all right, I'm going to email that lady and see what's going on because it don't make no sense. So an hour and a half of that. And then at the end, I'm just like, thank you. And she's just like, nah, you shouldn't be going through this. You did everything. And then, and that was yesterday. But I rewind a little bit, right when kids were dismissing, the boys come downstairs and they're like, Mr. Bailey, we got a basketball game tomorrow. You gonna come? I'm like, and then there was a girl, so I went to the volleyball game. She's like, you have to tell him a week in advance. You have to write down the address. They're like, it's here. It's 10 o'clock. Like, I don't want to be out of my house at 10 o'clock. But I did go to the game. And the one kid, I'm like, so when does the game start? He's like, I don't know. And then I saw the other guy, and he's just like, 10:30. So then I go back to my classroom, because it was at the school. So I was working on this app. Another app. So I have now became an app man. I'm an app man. I love apps. I love big apps, and I cannot lie. I had one, I had two, they just seem to multiply. So the new apps that I created, I have my behavior tracker, which is good, it works. And then I made a game, old school arcade game thing, like Snake and Tetris and Frog and Simon Says and Pac-Man, all those type of games that the kids can use their Bailey Bucks to play. I did set it up that you play and then you can get more Bailey Bucks, but this fool was like, I'm gambling. So I'm gonna disable that feature and it'll just be play and be on the leaderboard. I made a lesson planner app. Now you might say they have all these things. They do, but it's just, you get what you get. If you want to have your own shit, you got to make it. So my planner app does, my planner app stuff. Because I hate doing planning, making lesson plans. Because I got to print it out for the principal. So I want to automate that shit. I made a seating chart app. Because, when I make the seating, it's one thing. But as I move kids around, it gets all like, it's hard to keep track of. So with this new app, I could just slide kids around on the thing and I could print it out. It allows me to put their pictures in there. Now you might, don't they have these things? They do. And normally schools like buy it for the teachers and force them to use whatever. But our school is like the Wild West of you use what you use. So I made that one. And then I made another app. I don't have a name for it, but this app is for if a student doesn't do his work. How it would flow is I would go into Google Classroom, I would see that he didn't do it, and then I'd have to click around and then to print it out, it's really cumbersome. It's possible, but it's really cumbersome. Last year I was using Google Scripts to scan all the assignments and print out things onto a PDF. But I wanted something beautiful. And I also wanted a system where the students, like a separate app where the students I could focus on the students who are getting the low grades. And their parents, when they click in, they'll sign into this app. So us three and maybe other principals, other people will all be in there, and we can keep track of Junior. When I hit print, it'll print out the assignment, it'll print out the attachment. If they didn't do the work, it'll print out a form saying, "Dear such and such, your child hasn't done this." It'll print out, or on the paper, it'll say how many days late it is. I made the app so there's no way, even if they're colorblind. Now, if they're colorblind, but it shows the grade in, like, it changes. Green means you're good and red means you're not. And it flashes like A. But if you got like fail, it's like, wow, wow. So there's no way, because the parents, they do this. They'd be like, "I didn't know he was failing. I didn't." Like, shut the fuck up. Nah, but no, you can't, because this is what happens, right? I had my kids for 6th grade. I went through all this. And the parent says, "I didn't know. They came from 5th grade and now middle school." So, and they're saying that. And I feel for them. Transitions. I'm talking to the 7th grade teacher, and he says that he talked to the dad and the mom, and they said the same damn thing. "I didn't know." Like, I don't like that shit. You could only use that one once. You know, whatever happened in my class is gonna happen in the next class. But when I told him, I said, "Listen, what we do in 6th grade, I try to get them prepared for next grade, because when they go upstairs, they're different, you know." But yeah, so this app is gonna keep everyone accountable. Like, if the parent don't sign in, it'll be like, "Well, you haven't even opened up the app." So then I'll just go double down on the kid. It'd be like, "Listen, your parents they're not being parents, so I'm going to be your parent." And yesterday, when they're having recess, the system, because I can physically print out a piece of paper, and then at recess I physically walk around as they're playing basketball. Like, I just walk in the middle of the game, wishing somebody would bump into me. I'll just be all like, I stand in front of the kid. I might even get the basketball. I'm like, "I'm sorry." I give the kid the paper, because it's a new semester. I gave him the paper, like the homework paper. And he's like, "I gotta do it now." And he starts like making his whiny. And I'm like, "Excuse me? This was homework. You could have done it at home. You could have done it this morning. Now you're gonna do it right now." So now again, I have that pool with the kids. They're not yelling, talking. They don't like it, but at least they acknowledge. Like, I have built up that. Like, I went to the basketball game. They know Mr. Bailey is there for them, and they also know I'm serious. And I'm like, call my bluff. Tell your parents, "Mr. Bailey wouldn't let me at recess, please." And I'm like, Mrs. Smith, your child hasn't done the homework, so I had them do it at recess." "Oh, well, yeah. So I want to make my system so it's foolproof, where I can make packets and all this shit. But I think that's all the apps. Now, the only thing about this app building thing I'm doing, it does cost me money, and it is racking up. Now, I'm fashioning myself after Amazon and YouTube and Netflix. They lost millions of dollars. I'm losing hundreds of dollars. But eventually they were able to sell it. Now, I don't know if I'll ever be able to sell these things to anybody. But if it could make what I do a little bit easier, then so be it. And I guess still yapping about school. I was talking to a teacher, and she said, we're just going, it's cold out here. But nah, we'll finish up the video, and I'll just bundle up. But she was just like, kids today and parents today, and she's like, fuck. She dropped the F-bomb. She said, fuck this and fuck that and fuck them. I'm at a Catholic school, and that's the atmosphere of a lot of the teachers. If you're talking one-on-one, they're just like, these kids. They're not saying anything racist, because I'm black, so they're just like, these fucking niggers. That wouldn't really work. And I don't think they feel that way, but they're just kind of you try you talk to the parents and like, we'll fix it. And then the next day they don't fix it. It's stressful. You talk to Junior, you give him, like I move seats around. I let the kids pick where they want to sit. And they're like, I promise I won't talk. Now, I had a bunch of girls, they sit right in front of me. And we're doing work and I hear them, what's up, Brody? What's up, Brody? What's up, Brody? I don't care if she's gonna say Brody, but then I'm like, all right, hand in your work. And her and Brody and such, they didn't do shit. And I'm like, and this, cause it's Christmas time, so it's just like color out this and paste it on that. I'm like, there's no reason why you guys cannot have this work done. No reason. One girl, I didn't have time because I didn't have the system in place, but she was just like working on it as I'm chastising the, I'm saying, how come you can't have it done? And I see her working on it. And then she's like, I finished. I'm like, you should have finished before I said anything. And I was gonna stop her from having recess. And she's like, but I did it. And I'm like, I'll get you next time. But that's where the system comes in. It'll be easier to, but so yeah, it's stressful. Now for me, I'm using tech and AI and apps to kind of manage some of this, to get accountability back into the building. Accountability back in the building. What up? But other teachers, they just kind of they gave up. They're like, if they're not gonna do shit, why should I? And I'll be talking or listening, and they just be saying this, and it's sad because I don't know. I feel that we are the last defense. You know, if they're not getting at home, then we have to do it. And they're just like, well, if they're not doing it at home, why should we do anything? It's just, and I do feel it's because the kids are Spanish, Latin, Black, you know, that crowd, and the teachers are white. But I'm not saying it's a race thing or anything, but like if I taught at an all-girls school and I come into the school and the girls are like, I'm having that time of month or whatever, I don't know. I might be like, suck it up. No, I would never say that, but I wouldn't have any way to be like, I know what you're going through. I'd be oblivious, and I feel it's one of those things. How are they going to know what it's like to live and whatever? For example, I have like one of the teachers, we talk all the time, but she was just like, I don't like it when the kids make fun of each other. You know, it's not nice. And I get it, like, cause they're so mean. But this isn't an outfit. This is like your mom was so fat kind of thing. Now I've never partaked. Now, I did battle. And I did say what I say under battle. I once said to someone, if the battle went something like, he was saying, hello. He was saying, I don't know what he was saying, but he was like, you're so skinny, you got no muscles. And I was saying, you're so old and you got no car, you live at your mom's house, you ain't no star. That shit was like embarrassing. And you can see he's like, I'm gonna punch this motherfucker. Like that's where I go. I tend not to do that. So if I'm battling, I'm probably be on some, your shirt's green, the color of a tree, you're a tree. Like I always go in that direction. But yeah, that I won't say other races didn't do that, but I think has been in our community. Sanford and Son, you big dummy. 227, JJ and his sister, like it's maybe that was a way to cope with. Ain't we lucky we got 'em? Good time. So maybe, and I don't know, I didn't read up on it, but you know, to her, she's just like, why can't we just get along? Why are they so mean? And it's just so I feel like there's that the population shifted from one race to another race, and it comes with different things. But like right now, pimple patches kids today put those pimple patches that are like stars and hearts. I had one girl, she put all these stars on her face. And then I seen her in the morning and I seen her at recess. The stars moved as if it was a constellation. And it's like, but it's the times, you know? So it's stressful in that sense that I don't know what to tell the teachers I work with. Because although the kids are not me, I'm not them, but I am urban, and I feel more closer to them at times. But then there's a whole other thing, like the kids today are just not the same kids. You know, they didn't play outside till the lights came on. They like I was teaching them how to use Google Classroom, because I was just kind of like, listen, we gave you the iPads, but we never told you how to use them. We just kind of assumed that because you know, there's like when I want to learn something, I just go on to YouTube, how to blah blah blah, and there's some guy or girl making a video, or one of those faceless channels. These kids are not doing that. If they can't do it, they're just like, it didn't work, it's broken. And a lot of times there's like a message saying, you cannot do this because a teacher disabled this function. They don't even read that. So it's kind of like, I was talking, you know, like I was just talking. I said, blah, blah, blah. And then we're playing catch up. This girl says, catch up, catch up. And I look at her like, I won't say this was like in the scene in the movie where someone is saying something, a valuable thing, and someone screams some random stuff to ruin the moment. But she's just like, catch up. And I'm like, I was gonna let it slide, but I'm like, yeah, ketchup, like to catch up, like you catch a ball, not ketchup like what you put on your hamburger. Ketchup. I taught you that last year. Now, she didn't say anything, and it wasn't my plan to humiliate her or whatever. But I don't like being interrupted with their silly outbursts. But yeah, so actually I'm going backward, because that's how I do it, right? So right after Thanksgiving, I went to school, and I put up lights, as I always did. I did it last year and the year before, but this time I put up lights on the first floor of the elementary building, the second floor of the elementary building, the third floor of the elementary building, the first floor of my building, and then my hallway. I use these little sticky clips. I must have put up 500 little clips so I could string the lights so they don't be falling on the floor. And I bought all of it. And I bought it without knowing if the school would reimburse me. I just wanted to, you know, so that Monday or Wednesday, I guess, when the kids came back to school, they were all like, oh, wow, it's so beautiful. And they were happy. Teachers were like, oh, yeah. They're asking me, where'd you get those lights? Where'd you get those clips? And it's like, that's me, you know? And I was at school today because of the game, and I was getting all my receipts, and I'll give it to them on Monday, and they best take my money. They best give me my refund, give me my money back. Because if they're like, oh, Matthew, we can't because you reached your limit, that might be the end of this whole school thing. I might be like, all right. Now, I know at other schools, they wouldn't do that to begin with. But at this school, with so much shit going on, at least let a man do, like my app, they're not going to pay for the app, which is kind of annoying. Because it's not an app. It doesn't say, school this. It just says the company that, and that's on me. But if I could prove that it works, like I have managed to do X, Y, and Z and look at the grades because of this app, pay for it, I'll do the long way. But yeah. And that's about it. That's a whole week or so about. And I'm listening to Mobb Deep. It's crazy, man. Or not Mobb Deep, but Prodigy, his audiobook. And it's exciting, but it has that feel. It has that, you know, everything just lined up perfectly. He met Havoc, and Havoc and him were best friends, and his mom, like, was his manager. I don't, like, when I talk to people, they're just like, you're so talented. You're so talented. Yeah, but you need everything else. You need that whole package. You know, like over Black Friday, I bought a shitload of music stuff. Didn't even open it up. I just buy it because it's on sale. And I know one day if I ever, but I have nobody. Like one of my coworkers sings so beautiful. Like when she sings, birds come down and they land on her shoulder. She, ha, 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 and they're like little, and I'm like, you got so much talent. And she just be on, but I'm not good. I'm not talented. I'm like, now it is what it is, you know. You can't force somebody. But, and I'm always like, we should make a song. Like, oh yeah, let's make a song together. But every holiday, every summer vacation, she's like, I'm so tired. I just don't want to think about work. It's like, music is work. Like, again, Prodigy's like, yeah, me and Havoc, we rented out the studio for like a month. We didn't leave that bitch. And here I'm talking to people like, I'm so tired, I can't even open my eyes. Mind you, just be like they come into school on a Monday saying we're tired. Tuesday they're tired. On Friday, still tired. Whole summer went by, they're like, I'm so tired. Like, my energy at this point in time, yeah, I'm getting older and whatnot. But if someone called me up like, yo man, let's go to the studio, I'll pay half. Now, if I don't got the money, I ain't got the money. We don't need to go to the studio. Like, but it is what it is. But listening to the Mob or Prodigy, just like, I like the story. I don't know him. I only know like 3 songs. But just hearing just how, like, he's like, I saw old dirty bastard. He had no shirt on. Came up to me and gave me a hug. He was all sweaty and shit. I was like, disgusting. Or him talking about his true love, like, I knew she was the one. Shit like that. It's kind of cool. It humanizes him. Whatever. But it just shines the light on. I mean, as long as I'm alive, there's a chance someone's going to be like, oh, that's a cool, like, any of the songs I made could go viral. I mean, I would have to put them out. I might make an app for that, get my music to go viral. Yeah, that's my next project over the winter break. But yeah, so that's my story. That's what's going on with me. I hope you good. Now I'm cold, I'm frozen, man. But I'm the chosen, man. Chosen, man. But yeah, all right, peace.